Each month, I write between 25 to 50 resumes for a very diverse set of industries and clients, and I've been able to generate over 43,000 interviews for them. And I'm frequently asked for tips to stand out from the crowd. How do I go on more interviews? How do I write a resume that people actually read? And so over the years, I've been able to really define and refine what is today the optimum resume process and what enables my clients to stand out with what some would consider a non-traditional resume. In fact, there's really only 5 sections to most of my resumes, but today I want to share the 3 most helpful ways I think through drafting a resume. And step 1 is all about the narrative. A lot of people, and resume writers included, open resumes with a tagline. And reading these usually makes me just want to vomit because they always use words that sound meaningful but mean nothing. Instead, you want to have a story narrative that invites the employer into your story, into a story about solving problems that they need solved. Before I write a thing, I synthesize everything about someone's background. I take super detailed notes in a one-on-one session, and then I sort through it all. So I make a list of all the pieces of the business that this individual owns. And I make a second list of all the evidence that shows that they're really good at doing the first list. I then stack that up against what is important to the employers that are hiring for this person's desired next role, whatever it is that you're targeting. The key to pulling this off is knowing what those employers' problems intimately are, and the best way to do this candidly is just to talk to them. I'm not beyond picking up the phone and talking with people doing the job today or managing the people who do the job today to get the information I need in order to write a resume for one of my clients. That inside information is gold because you can then turn around their exact words and use it in your resume. And when examining both of these side by side, the pieces of the business that an individual owns versus the problems and skill sets that are needed, you arrive at what happens to be a core problem that you solve for your audience, for a segment of employers, for a segment of hiring managers, and all of this kind of boils into the central theme, if you will. And that is what becomes the narrative for your entire resume. And I usually slap that narrative right at the top of my resumes. It sets the tone and frames everything else that follows. Here's the narrative for an account executive I wrote for just a few weeks ago who landed 21 interviews in less than a week. And you can see right here, we've got B2B account executive. I know what they do, but then there's the narrative. This whole resume is about selling solutions to problems. And so I slap this right at the top of every resume that I write. Step 2 is creating the right trailer. The next part of this resume after that narrative is the trailer. And the trailer has one job. It's to stop the reader from scanning and intrigue them enough to get them to read the next section in more detail. Here's the trailer for that same account executive resume. You'll see right below the story narrative is over 4 years of end-to-end consultative sales experience, exceeding sales targets by staying closest to the dollar, executing pipeline strategies to stay top of mind during buying windows, and fueling new business by turning customers into brand promoters. And then you got some success pieces. Doubled sales targets, 80% conversions, reduced pipeline fallout. Part of writing a good trailer is knowing your audience. What problems do they face? Which ones are you really good at solving? Talk about their problems, and all of a sudden, everyone is interested in what you have to say. Make them believe you can solve their problems, and you'll have their undivided attention. Within 20 seconds, your audience should know what you do and why you matter to them. Your trailer needs to communicate a couple of key points. What you do, who you do that for, what problem you solve for them, and what success looks like if this person was to hire you. Step 3 is about getting the goods in there. This is the section most people title job experience, or oftentimes in my resumes I may write career path, but to each their own. This is going to be the lengthiest section of your resume because this is where you're conveying the relevant information about how you solve problems for your audience. You're backing it up with evidence from your past. Over the years, there's been this huge swing towards writing about accomplishments and achievements, and many resumes today look like notes for an award speech rather than a proposal to someone to solve their problems. Don't get sucked into this trap. Yes, you need accomplishments. You need evidence that you're good at what you said you were doing. But remember, this is not a document, this is not your notes for an award speech that you're about to accept some award for. It's about positioning yourself as the solution to a set of problems. In order to deliver the goods to your audience and begin what I call the process of enlightenment about your existence, your abilities, you need to communicate 3 things. What you do as it relates to the narrative. In each of these jobs, what tasks, what pieces of the business do you own as it fits into the narrative of this resume? Basically, how do you solve the problems you solve? If you're an SDR, you might list things such as outbound calling and qualifying leads. The second piece is context. All SDRs do the same things. All accountants do the same things. But the context will make you different. There's a big difference between an SDR making 100 calls per day to book 10 demos versus one making 40 calls per day who books 10 demos. Big difference in that individual. And the third thing is evidence. It's one thing to perform a task, it's another thing to be good at it. You need to show that you're really good at these things. These 3 things capture the reader's attention and will help create an association between you and the person reading your resume. This particular resume that I referenced earlier generated 21 interviews for my client in less than 1 week. And this is in line with many other resumes that I write that also have a clear target that aligns with the individual's qualifications. So remember, start with your narrative. What is this resume about? What is the narrative? What is the story? 2, create a trailer. Does the opening of your resume capture the reader's attention and get them to stop scanning? Step 3, make it easy for them to see your value by clearly spelling out your qualifications and back it up with facts in your career path. So get out there, start writing your resume, and land the job that you were meant to have. When you're ready, there are 2 ways that I can help you. The first, I can help you build a better resume through my on-demand video course that comes with a year of free access to me in live coaching sessions. Or 2, if you prefer the shortcut method and you have the means, you can hire me to write your resume for you, and in less than a week or 2, you can be going on more interviews.